There are two types of behavior: traction and distraction. Traction is equivalent to the ability to focus and perform tasks, while distraction gets in the way and prevents us from performing tasks. Both types of behavior are controlled by triggers. There are also two kinds of triggers, internal and external. These triggers prompt us to perform actions. These actions, however, may be positive traction or less desirable distraction. Positive traction normally results in productive outcomes. On the other hand, distraction causes a lack of focus and a reduction in performance output. This can also lead to a social disconnect with family and friends, which ultimately leads to loneliness. The problem with human nature is our desire to perform tasks that do not actually need to be carried out. A good example is regularly checking our smartphones to see if there is something we need to do. Luckily, as humans, we can control and manage our desires. Understanding our motives, distractions in themselves are not a negative concept. It is our reaction to such distractions that can prove problematic. As intelligent human beings, we have the ability to control our behavior. Analyzing distractions to understand the underlying root cause, then putting mitigations in place will help avoid losing time and energy to distractions. Manage our time by managing our pain. Distractions are often given attention because we want to escape painful situations and scenarios. If we can solve the underlying problem or pain, then the distractions will not appear. Dealing with internal triggers require a little more thought. Humans can modulate their thoughts to help mitigate the instinct to react to internal triggers. Of course, it takes practice, but can easily be achieved when the mind is put to it. There are three core values that affect all human beings. The purpose of life for many people is to fulfill these three core values. 1. Yourself. The most important creature on earth is yourself. Many people forget this, but if you do not look after yourself, then life is not worth living. Unless we recognize this and care more for our own person, it is almost impossible to look after others. 2. Relationships. Next, after ourselves, the most important thing for the majority of people is their relationships with others, partners, family, friends, even pets. We must ensure we provide them with the required attention. To many, without relationships, life is not worth living. 3. Work. While not as fun as the previous two, work is what keeps the roof over our heads and the food on the table. Spending hours at your desk distracted and producing significant outputs is not work. An indistractable workplace is therefore essential to the productivity and stability of your job. Of course, some members of society can't or choose not to work. In these cases, distractions may be just what they are looking for. Turn your values into time. One of the best ways to make sure traction occurs is to allocate small blocks of time in your schedule to perform tasks. For example, you are much more likely to finish a long report if you split it into 10 chapters and write one per day than spend a fortnight working on the entire project with no structure or plan, but surrounded by countless distractions. Control the inputs, not the outcomes. Only one of the three key domains is fully under your control: yourself. The other two will vary depending on the nature of the relationships and workplace dynamics. The returns from these two domains are not fixed. However, your input to these domains is under your control. Forget thinking about the outputs and focus on giving your best. For example, jogging for an hour every day will help you lose a few kilograms after a few weeks. Jogging continuously until you lose those kilograms will probably kill you. Focus on the inputs, not the outcomes. Make time for important relationships. The three domains need to sit in a harmonious equilibrium. Spending too much energy in one or two areas will lead to lifelong failure. The easiest to neglect are relationships. Maintaining positive interpersonal connections, whether on a personal or professional level, is always important. Remember, life is usually about who you know, not about what you know. A lack of social connections and relationships can also lead to loneliness, depression, and reduced productivity. Sync with stakeholders at work. Depending on the type of work you perform, you may be required to have a certain schedule. You may have little choice about the tasks you're allocated. Always try to work with your employer to make sure the work is in line with your values and skill set. Satisfied, happy workers will always be more productive than unmotivated employees. You have to reduce work interruptions. Workspaces should be designed to be as efficient and distraction-free as possible. For example, don't work with the TV on if you're distracted by it. Also, reduce email distractions. Many believe you have little control over your emails. They pop up randomly without any clear expectation as to whether you'll be distracted or not. There is a simple way to stop them. Close your mail client and only open it at 2-3 appointed times throughout the day. Try to reduce group chats by following 4 simple rules. Rule 1. Use it as a steam bath. Stay a short while but then get out. Rule 2. Schedule a team meeting so that everyone is on at the same time. Rule 3. Be selective about who's invited into the conversation. Don't get everyone on the line at once unnecessarily. Rule 4. Use it selectively. Make sure all the conversations are useful. We all know the feeling. If we have a clear deadline, we will usually work really hard to meet it. However, if someone gives a next week deadline, we'll probably deliver 3 weeks late. Setting clear deadlines or pre-commitments helps react better to distractions. Effort packs help reduce distractions by making undesirable behavior a little harder to perform. For example, snacks in the downstairs office fridge are much less likely to be finished by lunchtime than if they were lying on the desk in front of you. Price packs are a way of making it hurt financially if you get distracted or do not perform. Halfway between a swear jar and liquidated damages, they are a great way for a group of friends in an office to motivate each other. Identity packs sound a little sinister, but the idea is simple really. The way we think of ourselves can make big changes to our triggers and distractions. For example, the classic image of a businessman in a suit is actually a way some people switch between their home and work persona. Making small changes and adjusting your own perceptions will give real positive results. Distraction is a sign of dysfunction. Job satisfaction is significantly reduced when outcomes and expectations are high, but employees have little control over the way to achieve the outcome. This can lead to demotivation and, in the most severe cases, depression. Distractions are therefore sometimes seen as motivation. The use of technology during the day leads employees to become even more distracted. If companies want to reduce tech usage, they should not blame it on the devices themselves, but on the company culture. Companies that work hard to resolve the issues relating to distraction are the most productive. Providing a psychologically safe environment will prevent employees from becoming stressed or depressed. Indistractable organizations encourage and embrace psychological safety, often providing a conducive place to discuss concerns. They also employ leaders that demonstrate the importance of performing focused work. The employees must be provided with time to disconnect and not be interrupted until they are back to work. Companies also have to make sure that the employees can tell the truth and be heard. Avoid convenient excuses. If we want to teach our kids to take responsibility for their choices, we need to stop making convenient excuses for them and for ourselves. Instead of blaming technology, we should teach kids to use it right. Understand their internal triggers. If a child is not being psychologically stimulated, they are likely to become distracted and participate in less healthy activities such as playing computer games or using mobile phones. This distraction is not the fault of the device but is caused by the lack of more stimulating activities to participate in. To improve the situation, we must talk to them and discuss some of the same methods adults use, such as set times for device usage, usage packs, and even monetary packs. Perhaps you could give them more pocket money the less time they spend on devices. Making time for traction together. Children are much more likely to perform these methods if they do it with a parent. Create a schedule where you spend some regular time together working on stimulating them. As they grow older, they can become more independent at being indistractable. Help them with external triggers. Parents must try to help their children by removing external triggers. If they are concentrating on something productive, help create a safe space with no external triggers. For example, remove any devices from the room, make sure the TV is turned off, and keep any other children away from them. Teach them to make their own packs. With time, your child will come to master the skills of being indistractable. Make sure to teach them the concept of packs and practice in a number of environments and scenarios. As they get older, they make the packs more demanding. Spread social antibodies among friends. Distractions caused within social groups are starting to become more and more of an issue for people. Imagine trying to eat dinner while one of the family listens to music or attending a cocktail party where half of the guests are glued to their phones. People are starting to recognize this behavior as unacceptable. New taboos are developing and are used as social antibodies to prevent undesirable behavior. In a similar way, smoking became less and less acceptable. The same is starting to happen with smartphone use. It is good etiquette to go outside if you need to take a call or reply to an in-depth message thread. It is not uncommon to hear a friend or colleague shout, "Put your phone away" after hours. Be an indistractable lover. The distraction caused by mobile phones is even more of an issue between lovers. Those precious moments alone together should be spent in each other's company. If one or both parties are continuously distracted by external triggers, it can be very off-putting to the other party. Mobile phone notifications in particular cause distractions that take attention away from the ones we love. Couples should work together to create suitable pacts that help ensure distractions do not affect their relationship. For example, agree to a 10-minute window at the end of every 2 hours to check phones, or switch the phone off completely during dinner or while watching a movie. An indistractable lover is the most desirable personality. Everybody on this planet has the ability to be indistractable. It is simply a case of training to achieve this enlightened ability. Technology cannot be blamed for distractions. It is the other factors and motives that make us want to find an excuse to turn to distractions. If we can understand and start to control these motives and triggers, then we can become much more indistractable. Of course, learning to control these deep triggers will not happen overnight. It takes time to develop this level of self-control. If you keep working on it, you will eventually succeed. Being indistractable will help you in all reaches in life. Once you have mastered the basics of being indistractable, help your friends, family, and co-workers too. Teach them some of the techniques you have learned and incorporate being indistractable into all walks of life. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be indistractable? Imagine it. The household chores would never be missed, your work would be finished by lunchtime, and the constant ping 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 of your smartphone would be a distant memory. This intriguing book by Nir Eyal explores both the causes of and solutions to distraction. By the time you'll have finished reading this book, you will be well on the way to training yourself to be indistractable, as it provides a detailed combination of psychological insight and practical everyday tips. From lovers packs to time-box schedules, all the skills you need to remain indistractable can be found here. You will almost certainly find your productivity skyrocket. Reimagine the internal triggers. One way to control internal triggers is to flip and reimagine them the other way around. Doing this allows you to disarm them. First, discover what the discomfort that is causing the trigger is. Second, make a note of the trigger when it appears. Third, explore sensations and look at how you feel when the trigger occurs. Last, be very aware of liminal moments. Even small distractions such as checking the time on your phone can and will lead to regrets. Reimagine the tasks. Turn negative tasks into positive ones. If you can make that negative, distracting task into something positive and productive, you will experience considerably fewer regrets. This enables you to become indistractable. Reimagine our temperament. Our general temperament has a big impact on our ability to be distracted. Our behavior is directly affected by our temperament. If we can adjust our temperament accordingly, our behavior will improve. This allows the internal trigger to be more carefully managed. One way to improve your temperament is to say positive things to yourself and believe them. This level of self-control makes productivity shoot through the roof. Cut back meetings. First, the meeting chair must set out a clear agenda that details what problems will be considered. If a clear agenda has not been produced, then the meeting should not go ahead. Second, the preferred solution should be recorded in short, clear, and within the meeting's time frame. Be selective about who attends and make sure to get in and out quickly. Make sure all attendees are physically and mentally present instead of busy checking their devices. Make an effort to reduce your smartphone usage. You can do that step by step. Step 1. Remove the apps you no longer use. Step 2. Replace. For example, you can start to wear a watch again, so you have no excuse to check on your phone every minute. Step 3. Rearrange your mobile phone's home screen so it includes only your most important apps. Step 4. Push notifications can be external triggers. Make sure to get only important notifications.